Fat Dag is a Weight Watchers leader in Indianapolis, Indiana. However, the views and opinions expressed during this podcast are his own. They do not represent the views of Weight Watchers. And now, here's your host and wingman, Fat Dag.
I am your host, Fat Dag. You're listening to Wise Advice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at fatdag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Wise Advice. Send in your comments, your questions, your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello there. Welcome to episode 222 of Wise Advice, and truly always an honor to be here with you. Hopefully you found this in the Wise Advice app in your app store. If you have, certainly leave a comment review in there. Always like to see those. If not, you can find it on iHeartRadio, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, anywhere you can download a podcast. I don't care. I'm just glad you're here. Thanks for those tuning in live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Always fun to hang out with you before the show just for a little bit, and then we dive right into it. Quick update as to what's going on across podcast land here. So got an email tonight that I was accepted to be a presenter for the 2018 Food Nutrition Conference and Expo in Washington, D.C., October 20th through the 23rd. So that confirms that the international tour does roll in through Washington, D.C., so I get those details out to you really soon. You can certainly visit fatdag.com, click on the event tab, register there, and you will get the email as soon as I know the full details of the actual run that morning. But I'm excited to talk about, the presentation that we submitted is labeled Military Crisis, and it's the link between obesity and national security. So I'll have an opportunity to present on a panel with some folks who all of us believe the same thing, that this is something we have to take care of in the military. And I'm certainly glad to be able to lead that charge in a sense where I speak from a place of experience. You guys know that. If you listen back to episode 182, I think 54, or episode 12, all of them detail the struggle I had as a military member, severely overweight, on the verge of being kicked out, and found a way to completely change my life using you guys as a community for support and inspiration. And then now we've turned it all around, and we're truly all just getting healthy, happy, and living the best versions of ourselves. And that's all I really want for anybody. So to be able to present to about 10,000 nutritionists, dietitians, policy leaders, it's going to be an amazing opportunity to tell that story, see what the reach is, and see if we can't finally put an end to this once and for all. And take care of it. So that's the update here. Always fun to check in with you. The next couple episodes, I'll warn you ahead of time. About a couple episodes ago, I asked you to go through the 5 questions of why. Why, help you find your why, help you develop it. Grab a pen, grab a paper, write it down. I asked you to do that. And so many of you sent in those. I want to do the next few episodes. I'm going to go through those one by one. Maybe there'll be, I haven't figured out a full game plan. But in essence, probably what I'll do is I'll probably break them up into smaller versions of the podcast, focus one-on-one, and work through some of those questions so you guys can hear that and hear some response and help you develop your own why. So if you haven't submitted yours, now would be the time to do that on air at fatdag.com. Certainly write in. That's what keeps this show going, is by you sharing and getting your story done. So thank you all for your continued support. Out of Scarborough, Maine, Rosie writes in to open the show. She says, "Dear Fat Dag, today is a special occasion for me. It's my 1-year anniversary enjoying Weight Watchers. It deserves a celebration, and you deserve my gratitude for all the help that you have given me. Well, yes, I know I am the one who must do the work, but all the inspiration and the encouragement is much appreciated. I certainly have never hung in there more than a few weeks. The first of my many times on Weight Watchers was so long ago that the requirements were liver once a week and no more than 2 eggs a week. Well, no wonder I hated it. But back then I only had 20 pounds to lose so I could tough it out. Unfortunately, with no sustainability. I was never successful in changing all of my unhealthy habits, and they would always promptly resurface the minute I reached a bump in the road. Comfort food was my solution to all of life's problems. Well, I'm 68 years old now, and last year I had ballooned up to 235 pounds on a 5'3" frame. The thought of all the weight I had to lose was daunting. Well, I was miserable and suffering significant leg and back pain, fatigue, sleep apnea. Of course, those are all good reasons to lose weight, but the biggest problem I had was that I could barely look at myself in the mirror. I tried my best to avoid it, but inevitably I would catch my reflection and be shocked at the sight. In addition, my ability to climb all the stairs in my big house and walk any distance was becoming challenging. Well, I finally reached the tipping point, and something had to change. As you so often suggest, I had written down all of my whys, and it's a very long list. It's doubtful I could ever forget how unhappy I was, but I will keep the list as a reminder. I'm a food lover extraordinaire, and I have the time and the interest to prepare yummy things. Usually this gets me into trouble, but it's helping me this time around. I've received so many good ideas on Connect, and I feed off all the positive outlooks and the success that I read every day. Well, I'm not perfect, and I've finally accepted that's okay. But I'm truly focused most days, and I have an excellent record of tracking every single thing that I eat. Obviously, I'm doing something right because I've lost 58 pounds over the last year. I have 20 or 35 more to go. I really don't know for sure, but I'm 100% confident that I'm in it for the rest of my life. I love my meals, and I figured out how to still enjoy the foods that I cannot live without. Pizza and chocolate, for example. I just eat less and enjoy every last bite. Well, I could never do that before. I am motivated. Probably because of this good news. My pain is gone. The stairs are easy. I can walk for miles. My CPAP treatment for my sleep apnea is a thing of the past. And I love to shop in the regular clothing stores that I had to walk past when I was wearing a size 20. Life has been good to me, but of course, there have been a few rough times in the past year. I'm getting pretty good at keeping stress eating to a minimum and putting it right behind me. This is the key to my continued success. No slippery slope for me. I am finding healthier ways to deal with the stress, and I can forgive myself and start the next day on track. My Connect buddies and listening to your wonderful Wise Advice shows every single day have worked miracles to keep me focused and optimistic. I'm happily one of your patrons, and I wish you much success in whatever you decide to do in the future. You have already had a huge impact on so many, and I suspect you are just getting started. Thank you a million times over. Again, Rosie out of Scarborough, Maine. So, Rosie, thank you for your amazing email. I love emails like this when we completely turn ourselves around from this place of I can't do this to I'm going to do it. That's what you're doing, and that's what I'm asking all of you to do is, I tell you all the time, I believe in you. I 100% believe you can do this because I get so many people who start their email saying they don't believe it, and then they end the email saying I'm going to do it. I think there's two things you have to do in this journey, and you got to, exactly as you summed up in the last email, you got to stay focused and then remain optimistic. If you stay focused, you can get it done, and you remind yourself daily to get it done. But that optimism makes you want to keep doing that. I think that's why you've been so successful, is that you've turned the corner and you found a way to look at the bright side of everything. As you started out 68 years old, 235 on a 5'3" frame, I understand the thought of all that weight to lose is daunting. That's why we don't put the numbers out there in a sense where we say, why don't you just go lose all the weight and just be done with it? We want you to completely change your life. I want you to set small goals along the way. I want you to start off by losing 5 pounds. See if you can do that. See if you can follow the program. Just track just a little bit. If you can lose 5 pounds, then just do that again. And do that again, do that again, do that again. And then next thing you know, you're up to 58 pounds in a year, which is an incredible rate of loss. I'm very, very happy for that because what you've now done is completely changed your life in a way where you understand in moderation pizza, chocolate can exist in your world, and you're getting it done. I truly, truly believe it's the optimism that does it. But one step further, it's that long list of awesome things that you wrote down and saying that, you had all the pains that you had and the medication that your CPAP machine, all that stuff is gone. Being completely miserable with leg and back pain, fatigue, sleep apnea. Yeah, all those things are there. And so I ask you to write them down because I do understand now that you do feel better and you are feeling better. And it's going to be very difficult to remember a day when those things were in a part of your life. But writing them down is a good reason to give a good opportunity to revisit them frequently and remind yourself that you are doing this. That's kind of the cool thing is you got to remember where you came from and then remember who is the one that put in the effort, put in the work. That is you. And keeping that list as a reminder is way more powerful than going back and reliving it. Keep the positive outlooks coming. Keep reading success stories. Keep going to Connect. That's an ideal place to get that inspiration. Certainly the Wise Wingman Facebook group is another. The beauty of all those communities that are so positive is that when you see other people succeeding, when you see other people winning, you kind of get jealous, don't you? And that's a healthy jealous in a way where you're like, dang it, I want that. I want to go run. I want to go walk. I want to do whatever it is they're doing. I want to be thin. I want to buy normal clothes. And you watch other people do that. And you watch it enough, and finally you realize, which is the fun part, is when you watch them long enough, you realize that they're just regular people. And then when you realize that they're just regular people, you realize that they're no different than you. They're just maybe a little more focused, a little more optimistic, and that is what's getting them done. So congratulations on your 58-pound loss, 20 to 35 pounds to go. Who knows? You're going to know when you get there. You're going to wake up happy. You're going to wake up in this, I don't want to lose any more weight mindset. When you get there and then you bring that all that joy into your life and you maintain it about where you're at now, you will understand what I'm talking about when I say congratulations on getting to goal, and the scale will always be the last one to find out. So again, thanks for writing in. Scarborough, Maine, I know it very well. Used to live up in Lewiston, Auburn for a little while, and then lived in South Berwick as well. So Scarborough's right in between the both of those. So my hometown, it's kind of fun to reminisce a little bit. So thank you also for that. Out of West Warwick, Rhode Island, Sally writes in. She says, Dear Mike, hey, I was honored by when you read my email on your podcast, episode number 72, about complacency. I know that was a while ago, but I just felt the need to reach out to you once again. I've been dealing with some health issues over the last several years, and I've lost myself and my focus. I joined Weight Watchers in 2010 at 5'4", 299 and a quarter pounds, after a doctor told me to change my lifestyle or I was likely to die at a young age. I had a number of health conditions caused partially by my weight, which had jumped 50 or so pounds in a year. Over the next 2 years, I lost 142 pounds. I became a strict follower of healthier eating habits and faithfully exercised every day for 1.5 to 2 hours every day after work. Well, fast forward to today. I sit at 15 pounds above my goal weight of 157. I have a teeter-totter for the last several years, and after a back injury caused me to modify my activity choices and at times become almost bedridden. Well, yesterday I went for a walk and I listened to another one of your podcasts. During the podcast, an epiphany occurred in my brain. I all of a sudden realized that even though I was telling myself I was following the program, I had been so used to cutting a corner here and there that I've been kidding no one except myself. Yesterday I logged every bite. I drank 80 ounces of water and I stopped eating my evening snacks. I had 4 points left over at bedtime. Today I started another day, mind-focused, and determined to not let my physical challenges defeat me. I will succeed. I thank you all and all the wingmen for helping me realize that the lie that I've really been telling myself. Thank you. Together, we can do this. Sally out of West Warwick, Rhode Island. Sally, let's dig in. Episode 72 turned out to be one of those podcasts that I get emails on quite frequently. We certainly refer to it as the complacency episode. I need to go revisit it in a sense because I kind of forgot what I said, just as a mental reminder. But the in essence and the gist is that sometimes plateaus and complacency sets in because we feel better. The goal was never really to feel better. The goal was to feel phenomenal. And phenomenal is a possibility, but sometimes we forget about that when we start feeling better. And the difficulty of pushing through better to get the phenomenal is sometimes a little difficult. And there are certainly plenty of distractions along the way. 142 pounds is an amazing success story. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you've gained 15 of those pounds back. That still puts you well over 100 pounds lost. Clearly, you understand the big picture. Clearly, you have understood what it takes to get this done and why to get it done. You now are in a new chapter of your life where you're going to have to figure something else out. And again, I think this is another prime example of why I'm a believer that the journey does have finish lines. I believe it has multiple finish lines. And so maybe you've crossed another one and now you're going to start a whole new chapter in your life, figuring out how to maintain in the new state and the new life that you're now living. That's kind of the new journey for you. And so when you get to the point where, last several years having a severe back injury that actually forced you to modify your activity to almost the time where you were bedridden. So that certainly is a much different journey than probably when you were losing the weight. So let's call that done. Let's move on from that. And now let's make a new plan given the new set of circumstances that you've been handed. That's how you solve this. And so as you finally now are moving through this, getting up and going for a walk, that epiphany is kind of something I wish a lot of people could truly tap into and understand. Because so many times as people are tracking and doing the program and making, like you said, cutting a little corner here, cutting a corner there, mentally their brain says, well, I'm tracking everything and I'm getting some exercise. But in reality is, there is often a difference between someone on day one who's tracking and then someone who's on, year 5 who's tracking. So suddenly the 1 ounce, 1 ounce bag of potato chips becomes 1.5, 1.25. But we just kind of a little bit here, a little bit there. But, the very first, when you joined, it was, you weighed it, and you measured it out and you made sure it was exactly to the T because you were motivated, super motivated, wanting to get it done. Well, you've proven by losing 142 pounds that you know how to get there. So what you have to do is just simply tap back into that mindset, understanding your why, exactly like and then realizing that your physical challenges absolutely do not defeat you, nor do they define you. I've said this more than once on this podcast, is regardless of what your medical diagnosis is, if you are still the one in control of your food, you can make better choices. That's something so often we forget about. We get these medical diagnoses and we think it's the end of the world in some sense. And we say, you know what, well, then forget it. I'll just go out and just quit doing this. But you can still make better choices in every single possible scenario where you still are the one controlling your food. So as you understand that, then you certainly know that the physical challenge does not define you, nor does it defeat you. You certainly end your email the right way by saying you will succeed, and understanding that the lie that you've been telling yourself certainly is defeating, in a sense, and robbing you of the true joy of getting back to where you were the happiest, healthiest version of yourself. I thank you very much for your original email to get episode 72 started. Like I said, people refer to that all the time as the episode on complacency. Like I said, I will certainly go back and listen to it as well. So congratulations on all of your amazing success. I think it's very important that we don't lose sight of that. I think, I see often people on, either in the Wingman group or in Connect, and they reach their goal. And so, and I'm certainly very proud of them for doing so, right? And so it's kind of my story, and what I'm living out right now is we push so hard to get to goal. And I encourage you to do that. I really do. I want you to push as hard as you can. I want you to get there. I want you to hit goal. I absolutely do. I want you to understand that you get to the point where you don't want to lose any more weight. I want that for you more than anything. And then I also want you to understand that when you get there, a 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 pound gain from there is not the end of the world. When you're down 142 pounds, you hit goal, you've proven mentally you can do anything. And then as you readjust into this new lifestyle, you pick up 5, 10 pounds along the way, you're still down hundreds of pounds and very, very successful. And more importantly, you have the mindset and confidence to know that you can do it. That's what getting goal is about. And getting to goal is more than just the number on the scale. Getting to goal is you proving you can do it. You proving that you can actually do it, meaning saying, hey, I set myself a goal, I marched towards it, I got it done. That is so powerful because what happens from there is you set different goals. And as you set different goals, they may not all be health and fitness related, but having that confidence certainly gives you the strength to push forward and get it done. So thank you again, certainly for writing in, Sally, and keep up the amazing work. Keep in touch for sure. Last email for this show out of Naperville, Diane writes in, says, hi, Mike. This is Diane from Naperville. I'm writing in with another update. Well, I've written in 3 times before. My last one was at goal. It's now been 6 months on Team Lifetime, and I'm celebrating. What an amazing ride this has been so far. I've been trying to write a Lifetime update for a while now, but so many thoughts and emotions, they surface every time that I start. I've been at Lifetime since March 14th, 2018. I feel amazing and incredible. I'm down 155 pounds. That's 5 pounds below goal, and I'm still doing all the same things I was doing while losing weight. I'm measuring, tracking, and I'm setting attendance goals. I still go to my meeting every week and I weigh in. My meeting and its members keep me motivated and inspired. We're like a really big family. I'm also now wearing size 6s and smalls. When I started, I was the tight 22, 24, and 3X. I now have a healthy BMI of 23, and when I started, it was a 49. Thinking of that BMI at 49 brought back memories of my pre-Weight Watchers existence, something I haven't written too much about. Sometimes I wonder how I survived at all. The constant years of gaining and losing and gaining again. I guess that's all I did was survive or exist. I kind of lived in my own little bubble. I shut the world out. I let my weight define me. I never finished college, never had a real career. I always worked. Most of the time I had 2 jobs. I never got married, never had kids. I just let life pass me by. So that brings me to my why. It's short and simple, but it's oh so powerful to me. It is to not let life pass me by. The best way I know how to do this is by staying out of my comfort zone, my bubble. That is so easy for me to run to when something is new or unfamiliar. I now ask myself 2 questions. Well, why can't I and why not me? Staying out of that comfort zone has been so rewarding so far. These are just a few examples. The Slack Pack family of friends, without their inspiration and support, I don't think I ever would have gotten as far as I did. I'm a guest blogger on fatdag.com, which is so cool. I've done 5 blogs so far. I am so honored to be a board member of Operation Fat Dag. I believe it's for such a great cause. I'm so excited to wait to see where this all will lead. Hiking, whitewater rafting, and ziplining are just a few things I did on my vacation this year. I became a participant instead of standing on the sidelines. I've also driven by myself further than I've ever have on 2 occasions. One time to Michigan for a weekend, and then I drove to Indy, which was 3.5 hours. It's the longest driving distance ever. Last but not least, I entered the Indy Ultimate. I finished the 5-mile walk run. I walked it and I received my first medal ever. I even did some of the events that were along the way, like throwing the football, kicking the soccer ball, and paddle boats, to name just a few. To top it all off, I got interviewed by you. Even though I definitely am not a public speaker, it was awesome. Thank you. I do think, though, that I'm finally finding my voice. With all these accomplishments, I guess not only am I celebrating Lifetime, but I'm celebrating life. As I am pushing towards a new decade next year, I'm excited about what the future holds instead of being depressed about another year passing me by. I always thought it was too late or I was too old to start this journey. Well, I'm telling you that you're never too old, and it's definitely not too late to do this. Just never give up and never quit. It may have taken me 4 years to get here, but it's so worth it. Like I've said before, I got a 4-year food education, but I'm still learning, so I really guess I'm going for my master's. I'm still a work in progress. I still have issues I'm working on, like forgiving myself from my past so I don't keep dwelling on it. Or the fact that I can't run. I know with all my walking, my dance classes, and now added yoga and strength training to the mix should be enough, but I feel like I failed because I can't run. I've tried numerous times with the same results. The next day I feel awful. So I'm trying to accept that, knowing that if it takes me away from my attendance goals, I shouldn't do it. Also, a few bad habits have been creeping up, like my undereating and my non-eating issues. Well, thank you again, Mike, for your service. Also for everything you do for us, this community. Thank you for believing in me and helping me change my life. Thanks for the podcast. They've been a real game changer for me. And thanks to all the wingmen for their support and inspiration. And thank you for being my wingman. Diane. Diane, you're one of those people that just absolutely is awesome. Every time I see you, we joked on the podcast that you and I are no longer allowed to be in the same city because you bring extreme weather wherever you go. But that's just my fun way of letting you know that I enjoy being in your presence, and you're an incredible inspiration. 155 pounds down, you look fantastic. Your attitude, your smile is so contagious. Every time, I just watch you glow, and I can tell without even reading this email, I can tell that you are not letting life pass you by anymore. You are out there leading the charge of happiness. And, I suspect you're probably making up for many lost years in that sense, but I think you're doing it very, very well. And I didn't get the full extent until I read your email tonight when you said that you drove to Indy. And I remember you saying that it was a far drive and it was the furthest you'd ever driven, but I didn't truly understand when you said it's the furthest you ever driven. I didn't really understand the why behind that. So I really, I'm honored truly to think that the first time that you would venture out on your own for a 3.5-hour road trip would be to come to the Indy Ultimate to hang out with us and the Wingman and to get it done and then top it off with a 5-mile walk. What an amazing story of triumph and success that is. You absolutely hit the nail on the head, and I love this sentence, and I want to I want to yell it 18,000 times that with all the accomplishments, I guess I'm not celebrating lifetime. I'm celebrating life. Boy, think of that, right? Lifetime is a title. Celebrating lifetime is a title. You're celebrating life. Completely different. Man, it just, when I read that in your email, it really did get to me in a sense where I truly understood your entire journey from start to now. It made perfect sense. All the amazing things that you've written in. Being a guest blogger certainly takes you out of your comfort zone. Joining the board of Operation Fat Dag, as you know, we are marching forward very fast with that. A lot of it is behind the scenes, but we have some big plans. We have some great partners coming on board. As you know, I'm traveling up to DC to talk in front of a large group of nutritionists. I just mentioned at the beginning of this podcast. So that is, your help is significantly needed, and you're going to need. We're going to need you to continue to stay engaged so that other people understand that we can all celebrate life at this point. And you've gotten to the point where, thinking all of the, your pre-existence or pre-Weight Watchers existence of your BMI of 49 and wondering how you survived it in the constant years of gaining and losing and really, just living in your own little bubble. I think that is so common for so many of us. That's the story that we need. That's what we need on the board. That's what we need in this community, is someone who was in that fog, who was in that dark, who said, no more. There's something more. There is something else out there, and I want to go do it. You've been hiking, whitewater rafting, zip lining. Think of that. You're not just standing on the sideline. You are out there getting it done. I think the icing on the cake certainly is getting your first ever race medal, doing it with the Wise Wingman Group. All of us out there, it's just a fun. If you started now, which you obviously have, if you wrote down all the amazing accomplishments you've done just in the last year, it's incredible. And it's all things that you have done because you have completely changed your life. Why? Sure, you've done the remarkable. You've done things that so few of us are able to finally push all the way through and do. You've proven that it actually is possible for anyone to do it. And you went through one step further and did it. Now you're sharing your story so that somebody else goes, hey, I can do that too. Incredible job, incredible focus. Thanks for keeping it all up. And so I just want to say, do not, as you add to the list of all the things that you're doing, your dance classes, the yoga, strength training, all of that, don't focus on the things you're not doing. You're not going that direction. Continue to add to your list. Don't look at the things of, I wish that I could. Continue in your lane. Your lane clearly is the path to lifetime. It clearly is the path to a new life. That's the lane you want to stay in. And so whether you can run or not, truly irrelevant at this stage in your life. All the other things, the joy you bring to every room that you enter, that's where the true success is. So, Diane, thanks again for joining us in Indy. Thanks for joining the board, Operation Fat Dag. Thanks for writing in on the blog. Folks, you can check those out at fatdag.com. Certainly get out there and do that, and always encourage you to send your comments, questions into the show so that we can truly celebrate just like Diane is. Congratulations, 6 months at Lifetime. Absolutely rocking it, getting it done. I believe you're in it for the rest of your life. And that is why we celebrate. What is it that you're celebrating? Let's share it on the air. Go to fatdag.com, click on the Wise Advice podcast link. You can send in your celebrations, your comments, your questions. I'll certainly work them in as part of the show. I really want you to email in those celebrations because I want you to be absolutely proud of what you're doing. When you're proud of what you're doing and you share what you're doing, other people begin to understand that this journey is doable and they start writing their own journey as well. That's what changes the world. What changes the world is when you change yourself and you tell other people how awesome it is and they become inspired or jealous of your success, which is called inspiration, and they reach out and start getting it done as well. That goes all across the nation, all across the world, as other people want to have the success, the happy, healthy life that you're living. Well, that's going to do it for this time. Remember that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goals and go after it. I wish you good focus. Thank you for listening to the Wise Advice Podcast. Did you know for as little as $1 a month, you can take the next step as a wingman and support the show? Visit fatdag.com, click on Become a Patron today.